What's up, guys? This week we talk about my underreaction to Death Note and overreaction to Spy Family. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shot Studios podcast. Grace and I are back. This week, not too much happened this week, which normally it feels like every week at a young company like this is just crazy.
A lot happening. Yeah.
So I figured we would actually dive deeper this week into some of the content that we're like watching and reacting to on the YouTube channel to get some extra thoughts there and kind of dive deeper into what our process has been like. So where do you want to start, Grace?
Let's start with what I learned from my first reacting video. Mm-hmm. I've been doing sub versus dub videos, reacting to those, but I hadn't done a reacting to episodes of shows yet. And so I started watching Death Note. And I reacted to the first episode. Again, felt like I went in blind. I didn't know what was to be expected of that format because it's much less talking than the sub versus dub.
Until we got hit with 1 million copyright strikes, and then we were like, wow, this is a lot harder than we thought.
Yeah, if you just stream the whole episode and then it's just me reacting on the side, copyright issues.
Total sense. I'm actually very against that, right? Because the whole conversation is about fair use. So a lot of people would probably disagree with me here and say, like, what do you mean? Like, we should be able to use this content freely or whatever. But I know that we're going to let our content get used. So if anybody wants to react to our stuff, we're all for it. Because our main focus is building community. But I assume at some point we're going to deal with a Netflix or an Amazon or whatever. And it's just going to be a different ballgame, right? Exclusivity all of a sudden is going to matter. I guess what I'm saying is I totally respect the fact that the creators of Death Note wouldn't want their show streamed all over YouTube. Yeah. The whole episode, and you're just adding somebody's face in it, and there you go. Now you can stream the whole episode.
Yeah.
What I do appreciate, though, and what we've been learning to do is how do we add something so that it's actually a show about Grace, her personality, her reacting to the episode, actually that. Mm-hmm. That's the entertaining part, not the episode itself.
The number one rule was that, I need to pause more so that the copyright doesn't get detected. And then also just for me to say a little more about what's going on in my head. And I didn't ever start doing these react videos because I was like, oh, let me react. It's more like, Dale. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't want to do it because when I was proposed the idea, it was exciting, but I'm not one to be like, oh, my opinions are so interesting that I'm going to stream them. And then I learned that like my facial reactions are interesting. So then I thought that was going to carry the reacting to the episode. So I didn't say much. But then I realized I do have to say stuff. And then it is pretty awkward when there's just a camera on me and I'm watching a thing and I'm not saying anything. Because I feel like I don't have opinions. And I grew up, I always bring it back to growing up. Like my mom always was upset when I would miss the blatant plot and I'd focus on a detail, be like, wow, I talked about this before of Lion King. I missed the whole thing of like, oh, it's so tragic, he's losing his dad. And I was just hyper focused on their paws and the way their paws looked.
What?
I did get it, but I was hyper focused on the way their paws were, the way that their fur looked, the way that they would run, and I would copy them and run on all fours and master that. I'm just a person of details. And we did talk about, I don't have to throw that away. I can use that to my advantage because that is a unique view that I have to offer when I get hyper-focused on these details. But also, reaction video-wise, I should be focused on the plot, on the characters, on the world. So learning to do that is a learning curve for me because I'm not that good at paying attention to that, even though I know it's weird because it's literally the main thing in front of my face, but it's easy for me to miss.
Now, I want to get into a conversation about authenticity because I feel like people might be taking it potentially the wrong way. So the goal is to make sure that Grace is authentic always, right? That she's coming through who she is and what she's interested. So it wasn't a conversation about, hey, don't be yourself. Don't talk about the pause. Don't talk about the details. It was very much definitely talk about those things that make you unique. So it's not just you're coming to watch for Grace's reaction, right?
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure that she also was equipped with like what we know people are going to care about.
Yeah.
Also, They're going to care about, they're watching her reaction because they've seen it and they're waiting to see how she feels about XYZ thing. The conversation it's not that she doesn't have feelings about it. She just doesn't focus on it or communicate it, right? So now it's just more about turning on a part of the brain rather than like making something up, if that makes sense.
Before having it pointed out to me, I thought there's no way, like I just don't pick up on that stuff. But when we watch the videos, I do have reactions to the things, you know, on my face. It's buried deep and I'm not putting words to it even. So now it's a practice of recognizing that I'm reacting to it, bring it to the surface, and then put words to it, which can be hard because, again, my words are not my thing. So
obviously we're just hoping, you know, all of it is to make hopefully the most entertaining videos possible. And I feel like we're off to a good start. I'll just say that, you know.
I feel like I mean, I feel like I offended you because you expected more out of my Death Note reactions. Why?
Death Note is one of my favorite anime, period.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing where I'm like, why did we do Bebop so early? Like, why would we, when we suck, why would we do some of my all-time favorites that I know I'm just going to get emotional about, of course. Not even like, it's like hard for me to keep a level head. But basically, I will reveal the truth today on this podcast. That Grace made a boo-boo. And when she went to react to the first episode, because I have everything, she clicked on the first special. And basically, like, the first 5 episodes, like, you know, on the specials, it's like, they're putting the whole season into an hour and a half.
Yeah.
She flew through, like, the first 5 episodes of content and was just, like, so confused.
Yeah. I was like, they give no context. I'm confused.
And then realized her grave error, which she tried to play it off like, I swore I hit the right thing. I'm like, obviously you didn't. It's right there. So
I swore. I think the mouse jumped. I remember being like, oh, that's the special. It would be such a mistake if I clicked that. I'm clicking on this one. And then I don't know what happened.
Mistakes were made.
And you know what's funny? When I went to watch the second episode, I was like, I'm going to get it right this time. And then I actually clicked the special again. And then I was like, let me check how long this is. And then it was like an hour and a half. And then I was like, oh. And then I caught myself. But I almost did the same thing.
Dude, and the second one would have taken place, like, if you accidentally clicked on the second special, it would have ruined so much.
Right, because also I didn't finish the first special. I stopped.
Yeah, she only got
before I got too
So that's what I mean. She maybe saw pieces of the first 4 or 5, which, like, you know, for those of you who are big fans, there's like it's mostly meeting a lot of the characters and setting up the sort of cat and mouse game that Death Note is famous for. But I would say the other thing is that Grace also, it's like such an iconic anime, and I think your mom's a fan, right?
My mom is a huge fan. Yeah. I'm talking her car keychain was Death Note for years. That thing got so dirty, but it was her car keychain. And she'd be so embarrassed if I was sharing this to the public. She had little figurines of Elle eating an apple, sitting in a couch on her all over her desk. She would draw fan fiction of Death Note all the time. So I feel like even though I wasn't paying attention, I kind of in the back of my mind have an idea of who these characters are, what they are. Yeah. So there is that. So it's not a total surprise. It's not like Chainsaw Man, which is the very first reaction video we did, where I had no idea what it was about. And so every reaction was very pure.
Yeah, I think, you know, so, but okay, FYI, spoilers ahead. Go watch Death Note. It's amazing. Like, just do it. If you can deal with, like, thrillers and some darker content. It's amazing. So now that I've done the spoiler alert.
Don't spoil it for me.
No, I'm talking about the first episode, really. But basically, there are some major things that happen in the first episode that I think are, like, that were so iconic for me. And mainly it was because very rarely is there a show, maybe Game of Thrones, maybe Breaking Bad, that's going to just go balls to the walls that fast. And in the first episode of the show, the kid gets the Death Note and actually starts murdering people, like, right off the fucking bat. And it's just, like, insane. And there's a really impactful, powerful montage in the first episode. And then I'll never forget watching it thinking, from what I had heard of the show, which was like, oh God, it's a book where you could write the name. That's such a cheesy plot. It's going to be some like bullying, kid gets bullied. It's like going to be so silly. And then I put the show on and I was like, oh, wait a minute. This guy, I'm an INTJ, so I'm with Light all the way, by the way. Flame me in the comments if you will, but like Light, it's so hard to not do spoilers. Guys, do not spoil it for her. But basically, anyways, Light's my guy, and basically, it was just, he has this very famous line that I will be the god of the new world. And I'll never forget watching that for the first time, thinking this was going to be a show about, getting bullied, I guess, cyberbullied, and then all of a sudden realizing, oh no, this is a show about, an egomaniac, and he's smart, really smart. So this is a show that gets you to play out your like darkest fantasies, and I was hooked.
What got me, the I'm gonna be the god of the new world, I don't know why that didn't really get me. It just felt like another cheesy line. I don't know if you related to it because of as an INTJ, but I just heard that and I was like, okay, like
Here's
I've
the thing.
heard that before.
When Death Note came out, like now you've heard of it because if anybody else has ever said anything like it, it's from Death Note, right? That's the thing. So like you're like, oh, I kind of have seen this before. It's tough. It's like when I watched The Sopranos, which is still a great show and I appreciated it, but it's dated. And the thing is, I had watched Breaking Bad and was like, Breaking Bad's the best, and everybody's like, bro, but The Sopranos came first, and then I'm like, but I didn't see it in that order.
Yeah.
So like, do you know what I mean? That's kind of what I mean, where it's like whatever you've seen that has this like dark, edgy, anti-hero, thing, it's like Death Note was the thing that broke that in anime and made it like worldwide phenomenon, right? So that's what's funny is you're like, yeah, that's not that crazy, but that's because it's only that way because this show exists. I think that people have even attempted to push the boundaries of story in such a manner, Attack on Titan came after, which I think is made by the guys who did Death Note, and so like the level of which is another one that just pushes boundaries of like what darkness is for humanity. It's freaking great.
The Japanese do well at that, I have to say. Even with, I talk about this with horror. I think American horror, it can be creepy and jump scares, it's like an external kind of fear. But when it comes to Japanese fear, it really like awakens something deep inside you, and a deep fear that you can't just shake off after you leave the theater. I say that just having heard some scary stories when I was a child. I've never even watched a Japanese horror movie. I don't think I could survive it. I don't think I'd be the same. But yeah, so I get that. But what got me though on Death Note, not the God thing, but in episode 2 when he finds out that, again, spoilers, he finds out that if anyone touches the Death Note, they can also see the Reaper. Is it Green Reaper in English? I don't know what it is.
I think you call him Shinigami actually in English, but yeah. Oh, Shinigami. It is the Green Reaper, yeah, the Death God.
So then he thinks of this way to put it in his drawer that will, deter anyone from looking, and it has like 10 different defenses. It's not just, I'm hiding it here. There's like, oh no, I'm going to hide it here. I'm going to put a key here so people want to look. And then they look in that drawer and they see a diary and they're going to want to read that diary. They're never going to know that under that diary, my book is there. And not only is my book there, in order to get it, you need to take this pen, you need to unscrew it, you need to push it here, and then it'll send an electrical circuit. And I was like, what the?
It's so good.
It was
it's like, again, from
so
one INTJ to another, I'm like, yes, dude, let's go. Okay. Like if you're gonna do it right. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Goes hard, and I love predicting his reactions because they're so dark, and that something really messed up will happen, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna smile here, and then he does, and he like has this crazy look in his eyes, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited to. I kind of met Elle already in the when I watched the special, but I didn't really see that much, so I'm excited to see because he wasn't properly introduced in the special, because so I want the proper introduction.
Yeah, I think
I'm excited.
You haven't actually met him. He's just like a guy in a shadowy figure, right?
No, in the special I saw they came to his house and he was having tea with them, and
whoa.
or I don't know if it's his house, but
no. In episode 2, do you actually see what he looks like in episode 2?
No, not in episode 2. I'm saying in the special I saw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you haven't actually seen what he looks like yet. You think he's like, you just know the world-renowned detective is on the case.
But it's so funny watching that because I know what Elle looks like because he used to sit on my mom's desk, and I'm like, wow, that dude who looks like he has no life, is that detective. It's so funny. Yeah,
that's what, again, the show just it knows how to manipulate you and bait and switch you so well. I think probably a lot of what I like to do in storytelling stems from my experience. It was so refreshing and like different, and I love thrillers, and so you rarely get a thriller from the bad guy's perspective, basically. And that's what makes it so fun. And of course, soon enough, we'll be having the Elle versus Light debate. Who do you like more? Who do you want to win? Et cetera, et cetera.
I'm guessing I'm gonna say Elle, but we'll see.
Good. So I hope we're on opposite sides, and you can, we can fight about it. But yeah, I think it's a great show to start reacting to, just because there's so many twists and turns. The characters are so iconic. And I heard an interesting stat about it from another React channel, actually, that we were studying, that Death Note has the highest budget per episode of any anime in history, I think they said. I think Attack on Titan's got to blow it away
probably
by now. Mm-hmm. At least the specials that they did, because they're hour-longs. I don't know if those count, but they said about $1 million per episode budget. And you know what? That animation holds up, bro. Just looking at it, I was like, look at these montages, and,
they really have that shaky thing going too, the shaky camera thing going that you don't really see.
Camera thing,
yeah, because I will shoot watching Death Note and Spy X Fam on the same day, like right one after the other. It is such a hard turn, and it's so funny because I'm coming from such a dark place, and then I come to this. I think watching it from such a dark place makes everything extra cute, and even from the theme, I saw the theme song for the first time in the second episode.
It's like sweet and salty. You have something a little salty before you have something sweet. It makes it sweeter.
Yes. And I was just only watching the song, the montage, and I was freaking out over it. I was like, this is so cute. It reminds me of Totoro. I don't know, the animation's so cute. And so yesterday I watched episode 2. And I met the mom, and she was nothing like I expected, which was amazing because I thought she was gonna be like a really out there badass person who was gonna be the counter to that really reserved dude. But she's also, in her way, I mean, from the introduction, was also reserved in her own way and was like an outcast. And I related to her so much because, it starts with like people being like, why are you such a weirdo? Like, you should do this to attract more guys. And she's like, oh no, I have to have a date. I've gone through the same thing. I'm like, people telling me to stop being a weirdo to attract guys. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And then it slowly sets up that, their relationship is like, it's an ideal setup for each other. It benefits both of their needs with, having to have a fake husband, fake wife. And then I started to wonder, is this show gonna be them pretending the whole time and only Anya the child knowing, or are they eventually gonna find out? But you were nodding. I don't know if that was the answer.
No, nodding along with you.
Okay.
I think I have one episode left in the season. But yeah.
Why don't you watch it already?
It's a great point because I'm watching a lot. I'm watching Blue Lock. I'm watching Andor, which is actually fire.
Yeah.
Andor is legit, actually. And I'm not a Star Wars
fan. I don't know what that is.
Andor is a Star Wars story.
Like and/or?
Andor. Cassian Andor is the guy's name.
Played
by Diego
one word.
Luna.
Okay.
And it tells the story of how the revolution started. The rebellion started, basically, in Star Wars. You know the rebellion, the rebels versus the Empire?
No.
What? Oh my God! You gotta cut this out of the podcast. We're gonna get killed. Everybody's gonna unsubscribe. What the? Let's not.
Okay.
Oh, this is probably
cut to that.
Hey, if you guys made it to this part, please comment, because I don't know what to say to that either. But Andor's very good. It is about how the rebellion began, essentially, which is the main plot of Star Wars, the rebels versus the Empire. And and it's essentially a heist and espionage themed thing. So it's kind of like cut in two halves. I don't want to ruin too much. The first half is about a heist, and the second half is about an escape. And I love both of those kinds of genres. So it's cool how they did it. They were like, we're basically going to make two movies, essentially, and turn it into a season, but it has a nice flow. And I was talking to you about Andy Serkis, actually, recently, the famous actor who played Gollum.
Oh, yeah.
And Caesar and Planet of the Apes. He's in it. He comes into the second half. He plays a major character in the season, and he's great. Okay. So I'm excited to see what they do there. I know the next episode's a banger. I'm almost at the 10th one. For people who know, it feels like I'm almost at the climax of the season, and I'm like so down for what they're going to do, basically. Anyways, aside from that, so I'm watching a bunch of stuff, and I like to do it this way so I don't ever get stuck.
No, I'm the opposite. I want to binge everything. Like, I never want to be jumping from show to show. It's not my style. I want to get locked into one world and just do it.
Interesting. I need variety. Actually, it's a good example because another one of the shows we're watching is Tokyo Revengers. Like, that show is a lot of fun.
Yeah, they go dark.
But it can be intense, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we saw an episode yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good emotionally. I got satisfied, but I'm good for now.
You know, I want to talk about, I have to set the scene because this is also a spoiler. So they're going back into the Tokyo Gang's like history of Tokyo Gang, where it started, the friendship where it started. And there's this episode where these guys are like, oh, our leader wants this bike, so we're going to go to the shop and steal it. And then they go to the store, and then someone's like, hey, who's robbing me? And then so they like smash that guy and kill him. And then they figure out, oh, this is our leader's brother. And then it's like a whole moment.
I'm still messed up by it.
And like, I was messed up by it, but then my detailed brain was like, oh my God, that guy is the way that he's like, the guy who accidentally killed the man is like biting his fingers.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
I'm like, Grace, the dead guy on the floor doesn't mess you up, but
No, but the guy eating his fingers, like biting his fingers, because I don't know, that was like from an acting perspective.
Yeah,
I'm like, who would think to animate biting fingers? I feel like
they're you would just think artists, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's an interesting instinct. That's totally something I would feel like doing too. Just fall to the ground and like bite my fingers. So that's an example of how I go for the detail and not the plot.
I get that, where you're like analyzing a performance choice that, as a performer. Because for me, as a more directorial storyteller, those are the things that, I'll notice it if I want to study that. But normally I'm just like plot and character focused. Like, oh, interest. Like, so I'm more focused on, wow, I can't believe they made this choice. They set up that Mikey, the reason why Mikey even likes, what's his name? Takamichi, is because he reminds him of his brother. They very loosely set that up and like made it a little bit of a thing. This is what I mean excellently. Not enough of a thing that you thought hard about it, but now it hits double. And I'm just like, that's how you do it well. So that's what sticks with me, which is like, how do we then set up things that we're going to pay off literally a season, like 14, 15 episodes later? How do we really lace it in? And if you now I'm like, okay, maybe the key here is that they tied it into because the thing is, you're like, what an unlikely relationship that Mikey even likes him. Remember when Mikey first grabbed him, I was like, this is so silly. Yeah. That they found a way to tie it in that made me go, okay, that's fine, I get it. It reminds him of his brother, maybe his brother died, but like, that's it. And because Mikey's such a tough person in general, and because they've actually then quickly turned the drama into somebody else's potential death, you forgot about it. It's very well done, very smart, and focused. And so when this happens, yeah, they might have written that like later, because now I'm learning as we're writing our book, it's not like you can really write every detail. You kind of know the major things.
Yeah.
But they made it work. So they might have known that the plot needed to be that they needed some old people from the gang to come back, right, and cause problems. And then I'm just sure they had a brilliant moment like, oh my God, what if we did this and tied it in with that? And then people were like, yes, this is great. Let's go for it. And sure enough, I mean, I think that it works. I spent more time thinking, yo, do I actually buy this? Does it actually work? Even if it's not, quote unquote, the most realistic thing, 100% I think it's a great choice.
Oh, so you didn't find it believable?
No, I found it just believable enough, yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you don't have to,
okay.
yeah. As in, like, what are the odds that happens in the real world? It's very slim that, like, they don't recognize that his brother has a shop because they're in the gang together. They know each theoretically. But also, but it's really just plausible enough that I'm like, but they're idiots. And they're young. And they idolize him. And they probably don't know that much about him actually outside of the gang. That's what I mean. They got me just enough. But the bigger thing is how this guy, what I love is that we meet this character, the guy who's very upset and crying. We meet him in the future. He's a monster. He's one of the darkest characters. And so what I actually really love is the choice that they're like, yo, he was like, something's going to happen to him throughout this process that he's just, you can feel like really he's just hiding a lot of pain as an adult now or later in his teens. I love that choice too, where I'm like, big change. Interesting. You've got me curious for more. Because usually I'm not big on the like, oh, let's go back and tell the story of some shit that's not relevant anymore. But they're really, that's more what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I find it more interesting than the main character's story. I was telling Grace, I'm like, yo, do we need any of this time travel, like, save the girl stuff? Because I'm just like, this shit is way more interesting.
It's way more interesting than the girl, like, stuff, for sure.
Right? But it's funny.
Well.
It's funny because as I was saying that, I realized we're doing the same thing with our book. Basically, where it's literally like, guys trying to get the girl, but really it's about a bunch of other shit. So I understand maybe they just thought we need to wrap it so people can start watching it, and then we can get them with, like, if we just sold, this is going to be about brotherhood and gangs, people might not click. They, they wouldn't give it a shot. But because we did, guy getting the girl, we wrap it in this sort of isekai-esque thing of like being reborn or getting a second chance at life. We know people will click on that, but let's take that broad funnel, get them in, and then all of a sudden you start hitting me with this shit, and I'm like, whoa, bro, I was not expecting this from this show, and I'm kind of into it.
Interesting. I wonder how they did market it. I don't know what the logline was, but
gotta be like second chance at life, get the save the girl to save the girl, right? Like, I'm just assuming that's actually really good. We should look at that. But basically, I like shows that I think it's smart from a business of storytelling perspective, because I don't really even like that part of it, but that part of it a lot of other people like the time, the time travel, the girl stuff. But I think what they're doing is they're using it as a tool to really talk about a very interesting and different world. Still do not buy that they're like 13, 14, 15-year-old kids, like, at all, but whatever. That's the only thing that I'm, like, looking past. And I also think the main girl character is so poorly written.
Oh, yeah.
This poor girl. It's not her fault.
Give her more love.
She's
no,
just,
it's
like,
not.
Literally.
They're so two-dimensional. She's like, Takemichi, you can't fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me kiss you now in the rain. Let me stay with you even though you're, like, in a gang. And I'm like a nice schoolgirl, like, but yeah, why does she believe in him? Oh my God, it's a whole thing. So yeah, we'll get it. We'll dig in more as we get deeper. But I actually do think it's growing on me. First season, only once they got Dragon Kun in and they started talking about his, that's when I started getting into it. I could care less about Takemichi and this chica and her brother.
Yeah,
I could care less about them. I'm all about Mikey and Dragon Kun and the homies.
Yeah, it's gone down such a different path that I even forgot where we're coming from. Where it's the brother trying
and I think that's what's smart about the way they designed it. Again, this is what I mean, where like you're looking at performance. This is what I'm looking at. The design, the construction, the puzzle piecing of how they, I think, built a really interesting and like a sustainable story, because you can see that they can take it really far. So I already know there's a second season. I think there might even be a third. And at first I was like, wait, how are you going to do a second or third? Now I think I kind of get it, where basically you're really just going to develop different characters and as they were growing up in different situations. I really hope they don't drag the show out too long. Honestly, I know I know I'll be over it at some point. But for now, I'm into it.
Yeah.
You know? And then I guess to touch on Spy Family, that's just a show, you talk about being a binge watcher. Like, that's a show that made me smile and was fun. It was easy for me to just watch one or two and be good.
You know, it's fun. I saw my friends, my 2 Japanese friends last weekend, and I told them that I'm doing reactions. And they said, oh, what are you reacting to? And I said Spy Fam. Both of them went, I love that show. And then one of my friends, she showed me her wallpaper. She's like, I have Anya as my wallpaper forever. And she had a whole photo album. I don't know why, that she just made of Anya just for comfort. And she was showing me her whole album, scrolling through. I was like, wow, I didn't realize the show's that big. But yeah,
I think it just,
so
again,
awesome.
It was refreshing. There's so many high school superpower, you name it shows.
Yeah.
And this one's like a family drama,
family.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're like,
and
oh,
she's so cute.
what?
Yeah.
And I mean, it just goes to show you, really, you can make a lot work. Anya is a wonderful character. Anya is a character that I, again, go and it makes me really appreciate the power of animation, as in, like,
she's so cute.
You could be so much more specific. Imagine having to actually have a kid actor.
No, exactly. This is all animation, because like her eyes do so many different things. And there's a part where she said, when the two of them, when her parents first meet, and she's like, a spy and an assassin are gonna be my parents. And I was like, oh no. She's like, so cool. And I was like, yeah, that's an awesome little kid.
Yeah.
And her eyes do so much. So
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I feel like animation can really do kids incredibly well, of course, because you could be so much more nuanced, I guess, right?
I'm excited to start, because the first few episodes we only have it in English, so I'm watching it and I'm getting used to the English, but I want to hear her in Japanese. I'm itching to. I feel like it's a little, I mean, I know the English now, but it's like, wow, so cool. And like, I feel like it could be much better in Japanese.
I can only imagine, but yeah, I really enjoy the sub. So yeah, that show is one that I think you're gonna just enjoy. It's not the same. You're not gonna be going, oh my god. I mean, yeah, there's like a lot of what's gonna happen next, I guess, elements, but it's not really. Honestly, you're just gonna be more like, yes, like that's the vibe. Death Note is like jaw dropping. Oh my god, no, they didn't. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why we picked these. Obviously, we wanted to pick shows with a couple of different energies. Some that was newer, some that was older. For the sub versus dub content, we're covering some older stuff. But I think as she's reacting to newer content, we're going to then also have her do some sub versus dub content for that too. And we're excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, and then today I'm going to watch Demon Slayer Mugen Train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which translates to the never-ending train, right?
Mm-hmm.
So good. I'm really, really curious about your opinions there. You're going to be what is many people's favorite character, and including one of mine. So you'll know.
Okay.
There's no way it's like you'll be like, he's my favorite too. He's everybody's favorite. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out, and really excited for your journey as you continue to watch more of this content.
Yeah, a lot of anime.
I know, isn't it crazy? It's like you grew up with it. We're coming back to it. It's really fun for me who gets to see somebody experience it for the first time, except when they don't have the reactions that I expect. She's like over here just casually watching this guy mass murder people like it's nothing. But I do realize it's just because like when I saw it was fresh and different and whatever. It's the kind of thing. It's kind of like, when House of the Dragon came out, it wasn't as shocking as Game of Thrones. You're like, oh, it's Game of Thrones. Yeah. Right? So that's kind of, I understand it. But I know the show's going to get you anyways. This is because the part that you already know is the part that you know. Guy has a note that kills people, and there's a detective coming after him. That's it. Now is when, that part was crazy to me. When I was like, what? I thought this was going to be something else. But now you're going to see that. I have one small question, but do you know anything about any of the other characters in the show?
No.
Interesting. So your mom clearly didn't like one of the other very known characters then. So it's going to be interesting to see. When they become a known character, you'll either recognize, if you don't recognize the person, it'll be really funny. I wouldn't be surprised if your mom was like, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. It's great. We'll get to it when we get to it. All right.
Wait, I told my mom that you like light, and she's like, of course, the people who like light like Evangelion. It's that kind of person.
Yes. Let's go.
There's 2 types.
I'm so down. I can't wait to see her again. Oh, so much fun. And again, if you guys like it, subscribe. We'll do an episode with Grace's mom because that's really what I want. I'm doing this to get them in the room together. It's going to be amazing. So fun.
Okay.
So let's wrap this bad boy up. The pro tip for this week will be that when you're starting out, you want to look at what the baseline statistics are. I'm going to be very specific with this. So, for example, I struggled so much with what is a good thumbnail? Okay? There's a lot of things that could be in that answer. The way I decided what is a good thumbnail, because at my company, I don't like sliding scales, as in I don't like making a thumbnail and then going, oh, but there's a better thumbnail, then there's a better version of that thumbnail. That never ends, and I don't want to get paralysis by analysis. Not that doesn't happen over time, but I want to make sure we're doing things. So we pick a baseline. And so when we started Googling, they said, you can get this data. Most thumbnails that are quote unquote successful have between 2 and 10% click-through rate. So I said, great, we're going to start at the bottom. My current goal with thumbnails is to get a 2% click-through rate. That was it. And every thumbnail that I make, I don't care. If it's under 2, I change something. And if it hits 2, I don't change it. For now. And so we have all these different things that could make our content better. And the strategy is you pick one thing, you set a baseline, you master that baseline. So now I can do 2% thumbnails like this. And then I go to the next thing and I get that to the baseline. By the time I come back to the circle, 2% isn't good enough. I look for 3%. And then we work on that, and then we keep going around the circle until we feel like we have no bottlenecks. And if you guys have more questions about that, I'm happy to do a deeper video on sort of what our best practices are here for building safe, sustainable, and fast routines to create content. You got a question for me?
No. Never.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite season and why?
I wish it was spring, but the allergies really do cancel it out for me. Fun fact, how I said this, fun fact, I used to have such bad allergies, I was just tears running down my eyes, and so red. And my dad still never let me take medication for it. So I just suffered all spring. People always asking me, the teachers are like, are you okay? I'm like, just have an immigrant dad, that's all. So not spring. I wish I liked fall. I don't like it. It makes me sad. It reminds me of beginning school. It makes me really sad.
So we've ruled out spring and fall. Very common favorites, by the way. Because they're like the most neutral weather, Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to say summer. There are parts of winter. I love December. Because that makes me feel very comforted heading towards Christmas. But then I don't like January through March. So summer, yeah. But then what's sad? Whoa. I got really sad just now. Yesterday, it was so nice out. It was like a nice summer day. And then I just had this felt this pressure to be doing something in the nice weather. And then I realized I don't have any plans for this summer to go anywhere. And it made me really sad. So, I don't know. To be continued to see if my views change. But anyway, yeah, I like summer.
Nice. See, that was so worth it. Love it.
What's your favorite month?
Oh, that's so lame. You're not allowed to ask the same question. And it's like...
That's not the same question.
Bruh.
There's so many more factors.
I think it might be June.
Why?
I'm also gonna it might be easier to just be like, okay, not January, February, or March.
Yeah.
Not August.
Those are doo-doo. Not August. Why not August?
It's just hot as balls.
Oh, it's hot.
And also,
okay.
It's like the end of the summer vibes.
Yeah, August makes me sad.
September's decent.
Really?
It's just like Labor Day, new beginnings, vibe, for whatever reason.
If I stripped school away, I would agree.
See, like, you're dreading going back, and I'm thinking, like, I have a shot to try to do something new. It just feels like I'm getting a new start. If you know, for so many years. Now I have a business. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not like there's seasons like that. It's just because work is infinite.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so as I start ruling stuff out, I would say November gets a run because there's Thanksgiving, and that's my favorite holiday. December gets a run because that's like my 1 week off all year. But I hate the weather. And you
like that? Oh.
Well, yeah, it's just nice to know. Yeah, I love working, but also, like, I'm lazy, too. I want to play my video games. And it's like the one time a year where I give myself a full week to be like, hey, if you want to just literally play video games the whole week, you can, you know?
But you don't.
No, but I'm about to start Honkai Star Rail in 2 weeks. We'll see what happens this year.
Okay. You're not going to play that same game all the way till December. It's just going to be something new.
We'll see.
Okay.
I think Final Fantasy 16 is coming out in the fall, too. We'll see. Either way, those things have a run for the money, but June is when it's like the beginning of the summer, right after, like, Memorial Day is probably June. It's just such a good time. And you don't feel like the summer's beginning. And I think, June. And it's chill. Like, July is crazy. Is July 4th, and everybody's trying to make their July and August trips. No one's really playing June. And so June is just great vibes. And just chilling. Yeah. I'm going to pick June, man. Well, that's a good sign to end this episode then. Guys, thank you so much. Work hard, be nice, and as always, keep changing.